Hi everyone, I'm Chef Susie with Escoffier Online and welcome to our live session this morning. Today we're going to be exploring flavored sugars. They're wonderful, they're typically concentrated, and a lot of times depending on what you're adding, they're going to be very pretty in color. So the flavored sugars can be a little bit more than just adding a spice to sugars. You can add herbs and fruits and just a variety of things and make them in different forms as well. So knowing all that, let's get started. So basically, for your flavored sugars, you're just going to be adding a flavored component to a granulated sugar. You can use a superfine sugar. I'm just using a white granulated sugar. You can use a natural cane sugar. Just make sure it's a loose sugar. You don't want to start with a brown sugar that has a lot of moisture in it. You want a dry sugar to begin with. So let's get started. So I've got just a little bit of basic cinnamon sugar here, which is probably the most popular flavored sugar. I just took a little bit of ground cinnamon, added it to my granulated sugar. It's ready to go for a variety of things. Another pretty simple sugar made with spice is the anise. The anise is the star anise, and it's a licorice flavor. It's super popular around the world, especially you'll see anise flavored pastries a lot in Italy. So I just took some star anise and I ground it in a coffee grinder like the one that I have here. And then I just added it to my granulated sugar. And I had a couple of big pieces in there and I strained them out. You can leave it sit for a few days first if you're going to be straining out any of the large pieces. This way the sugar can absorb all of the flavors, and then you can eliminate the large pieces for whatever you're going to be using your sugar for. So it's another super easy combination to make. We're going to be making a few more combinations today, and I'm going to be making a lot of these in this little coffee grinder that I have. Any coffee grinder will work. I have this one, which is actually from Starbucks, and they carry a little bit newer model now that's black in color, but this one has been around for a long time in the kitchen and still works really well. So keep this in mind, any little coffee grinder will work. But before we start grinding, we're just going to make a simple vanilla sugar using a vanilla bean. I'm using a Madagascar vanilla bean, which I bought at Sur La Table. Comes in this little jar. And this is nice and soft and pliable. This is what you want to look for in a vanilla bean. If it's hard, you're going to have to maybe rehydrate it with a little bit of water or something like that overnight. But it should be very flexible and soft. So when we say Madagascar vanilla bean, that's the region, that's the area, the little island that this comes from. So you'll see regional vanillas a lot. If you see a name before it, it's typically where it comes from. So this is super delicious. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to get the seeds out of this bean. What we're going to do is we're just going to slit this down the center. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of do it the best that you can. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be just extracting the seeds out by opening this up a little bit. And I've kind of got this in two pieces. And I'm just opening it. Really, you can really smell the flavor once you get this open. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the side of our knife once we get this bean open, and we're just going to run it across. And as you can see, I'm taking out all of the seeds. So I've got a cup of sugar here. So for every bean, you're going to use about 1 cup of the granulated sugar. If you're not comfortable using your knife, you can always run your thumb across here too. So that's okay as well. So I've got my vanilla in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to mix this up a little bit. I like to put some gloves on and just really get in there and do some rubbing. And then what we're going to do is we'll be putting this in a container for about a week, and then it's ready to use. Super easy way to make some vanilla sugar. And please let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so I got my gloves on. I'm going to do some rubbing. You can do this with a whisk, but I kind of like to break these beans up a little bit and kind of distribute them. And then you can put this in a container for about a week's time, and then it'll be ready to go. So this is our simple vanilla sugar. Really easy to make. It's nice and flavorful. Going to kind of cover those beans and just go ahead and put that in a jar. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at some other sugars that we can make too. So I've got my coffee grinder, like I mentioned earlier, and I have some mint. So let's go ahead and make a mint and lemon flavored sugar. How does that one sound? Okay, so what we're going to do is I've got some mint that I dried out earlier on a double paper towel with one over the top in the microwave. I put this in the microwave for about 2 minutes on high. I kept an eye on it. I checked it maybe every 30 seconds to make sure everything was okay. So I have some nice dried mint. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be grinding this up in our grinder. And then we're just going to be adding it to our sugar. And please let me know if you have any questions. So you can make mint sugar, you can make mint and lemon like we're going to do today. Those are some flavors that go together really well. And also you can use a little bit of basil too. So basil goes together very well with berries and it's nice in baking. So keep that in mind. You can dry your basil the same way in the microwave. So let's go ahead and pulse this. We're just going to kind of grind up this mint a little bit. And then we're going to add it to our sugar. Let's take a look at it. So we've got some fine pieces. We're going to do this a little bit more. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the reason that we are not adding our sugar to the spice grinder is we'll make powdered sugar with it, and we're interested in making granulated sugar today. So just do all of your spices and your fruits or whatever you're using separate in the grinder. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of lemon in here for some flavor. So I'm just going to be putting this in here with the microplaner. I'm just going to do a little bit. Then I'm going to rub this in. And then we're going to add the mint. And I'm just going to put my gloves on once again. You can probably do this with a spoon, but Chef Susie likes to get her hands in here and rub her lemon and her vanilla in. Okay, so it's smelling very good. You can also dehydrate these lemon peels in the microwave the same way that you made the mint leaves, the same way that you dried them, or you can just add some zest like I've added. Since there's a little moisture, when we're finished, we're going to turn this out onto a sheet pan to dry. So we've got some mint. So this is super nice flavor combination. So I've got some speckles of mint, which are nice, and we can strain these out once this is set for a few days or even a week for the flavor to kind of absorb. So this is a nice mint lemon sugar. What you can do too, instead of drying the mint and grinding it, you can always take a piece of fresh mint, like I have here, and you can actually put it in your sugar and leave it in there, and that will absorb the mint as well. So either way you want to do this is good. I like to grind up my mint. So what you're going to do, since we have the lemon in here, which is not dried, we're just going to leave the sugar to dry on a sheet pan. Depending on, how the weather is where you live, you can leave it for a few days. It may take a week. You can tell when it's dry by feeling it. So you're just going to leave this dry and then you can go ahead and jar it up. Super nice flavor combination, mint and lemon. Okay. So let's go ahead and explore some of our fruit combinations too. So what you're going to want to do if you're making a fruit flavored sugar, you're going to want to use a freeze-dried fruit. I've got some blueberries here. You can buy these in the store package. They're freeze-dried. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pulse these in our grinder. Until it becomes a powder, and as you can see, it's super pretty color. And we're just going to go ahead and add this powder to our granulated sugar. It's going to make a very nice colored sugar. And you will be sure to impress your friends and family with this. I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on, and we're going to rub this in a little bit. Sometimes there's a few little pieces in here, and that's why I like to rub these in. So this is going to be a super pretty color. And please let me know if you have any questions on making flavored sugars. They're a lot of fun. They're super flavorful. This is a nice blueberry sugar. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of the blueberry that I have. Okay. So it smells really good. It's a nice purple color. And you will be sure to impress your friends and family with these. Okay. So now that we have the sugars made, you've got a few ideas. Let me know if you need any more information on flavor combinations. It's really limitless. Like I said, you can do basil dried out in the microwave. That's nice with the berry, the blueberry, raspberry, or strawberry. And you can do orange and just a variety of different flavors, very limitless. You can also do some lime. You can add some cayenne pepper, and those are great combinations for making with something chocolate. So speaking of making something with your flavored sugars, now that you have your flavored sugars and you know how to make them, what can you do with them? Well, what's great about these is they're so strong and they look really pretty. Like, for example, you can use these in your hot beverages, and the blueberry sugar is super nice for a bowl of oatmeal like I have here. What you can do is sprinkle a little bit on top of your oatmeal or even in your yogurt. It's going to add a lot of flavor, and it's going to make it look pretty too. So then you can just kind of sprinkle some blueberries on top. And you have a nice little bowl of oatmeal. Like I said, great for your yogurts. You can use these in a lot of your baking as well. So I've got some donuts that I made earlier. And I just rolled my donuts in these flavored sugars. I have the anise, and I have the cinnamon sugar, and I have a raspberry sugar that I made too. So they're great for donuts. You can also put these on your cookies, perhaps your shortbread cookies, or even your oatmeal raisin cookies before you bake them. You can roll your truffles in these sugars. Just the possibilities are endless. You can also put them in these super pretty jars, these little mason jars with lids, and you can give them as gifts for your friends and family. They will be sure to be impressed with you. So let's go ahead and pour some of this blueberry sugar in this jar. It looks super beautiful. And you can kind of decorate this with a little ribbon or maybe a little tag. So it's a nice gift, and it was so quick and easy to make, and what's great is it tastes so good. Okay, so there you go. Super beautiful, right? Okay, so what you can also do with these flavored sugars is you can make sugar cubes. So I've got some raspberry sugar that I made earlier, and I made this with some freeze-dried raspberries, just like the blueberries, and I pulsed them. Then I just mixed them with my sugar. So what we're going to be doing is, to make sugar cubes, we have to add a little bit of liquid to make the sugar just a little sticky, kind of crumbly, not wet, So be very careful. Okay, so I'm going to be mixing this one by hand too. You can use your spoon or a whisk, but Chef Susie likes to mix by hand. So I've got some water here. I added a little bit of almond extract. Like I said, the flavor combinations are really limitless. So I'm going to be adding just a little bit of this liquid into my sugar, and then I'm just going to be rubbing it together. So for about 3 cups of sugar, you're going to use about a tablespoon for each cup, so about 3 tablespoons. What I did is I went a little light on the water. I'm going to mix it, see how it is, and then I can add a little bit more. If it's a little too sticky or wet, you can always add a little bit more of the granulated sugar. So let's go ahead and mix this together. And then I'll kind of show you how to form your sugar cubes. So these sugar cubes are great for using in beverages. I chose the raspberry and the almond because it would be a super nice combination to drop in a glass of champagne. So if you're having some company or serving champagne, if you're a caterer or a private chef and you want to impress your clients with your homemade raspberry almond sugar cubes for their champagne, they will be impressed with you. Okay, so this sugar is going to be a sandy texture. And what we're going to do is we're just going to be putting this in a cake pan that I have lined with parchment. You can also buy sugar cube molds, little squares, and you can also use any type of a silicone mold. And you just press this sandy sugar mixture right in the mold. So to make things easier, I just have a pan that I lined with parchment, and I lined this with parchment rather than plastic because I'm going to be cutting this in the pan, and then this way you can see if you've cut through the paper and you can pull it off. The plastic is a little bit harder to tell. So I'm just kind of pouring this mixture in my pan. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flatten this out a little bit. I'm going to kind of make sure things are compact. And as you can see, to make your sugar cubes, you really don't need any special tools or special pans. They're nice to have, but you can just easily make this in one of your square cake pans. Okay, so I'm just pressing this in. And you can make these cubes in a variety of flavors. Some people even use bitters and they put them in their coffee, which is nice too. Okay, so let's kind of even this out a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut these. I'm going to just kind of score them. I'm going to cut these through. And then we're going to allow this to dry. So you can leave these dry at room temperature. You can put them in the oven for maybe about 20 minutes at 350 to help them out, or even in the microwave for about 20 seconds. But I like to just leave mine dry at room temperature. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of cut our sugar cubes, and we're really just scoring this because they're going to stick a little bit. They're not going to separate completely until they actually dry. Okay, so I'm just cutting this in some simple squares. We'll leave this dry, and then you can just simply lift the paper out of the pan and separate the cubes, and they'll be ready to go. And you can put these in a nice little glass jar as well. And please let me know if you have any questions. Here is a simple sugar cube technique that you can make. And like I said, we're just scoring these. They are going to just kind of break apart once they've dried. Okay, so I have a little bit of end. No worries, you can always use your pieces. And like I said, the molds are nice too, but if you don't have something like this, you can just go ahead and use your pan. And please let me know if you have any questions on our flavored sugar segment for today. We're going to be saying our goodbyes. And please try your flavored sugars, even if it's just a cinnamon sugar. And the cinnamon sugars are great for using on breads as well as the other fruit flavors and the herb flavors are too. And they're great in your cinnamon rolls. The raspberry and blueberry would be great in place of the cinnamon in the cinnamon roll. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.